I just had a question that kind of popped in my head with Mike and Jason on the panel yesterday. Of course, we're getting ready for the 2025-26 season. Joe Varden put out a great article the other day. He gave the Cavaliers a B for their off-season efforts. Just curious, in your mind, Mike, I'll start with you. Who is the Cleveland Cavaliers' most important role player this year?
I think there's two answers, and it depends on what you quantify as a role player. Like we're assuming
how would you define role player?
We're taking the core four out of this, right? We're assuming Earl for the sake of this,
taking the core four out of this.
Then everybody else is.
Everyone else
Is Hunter really a role player though?
So I know in the rundown, Earl put DeAndre Hunter as the guy who's asking, is he the most important role player? And I think to a certain extent, he probably is the right answer. He got dropped into the Cavs lineup last year mid-season. I think it is way easier said than done to change systems completely and then fit into a team with an already established pecking order. I think Hunter did a fine job with it, but I anticipate him taking another gigantic step forward in terms of understanding offensive and defensive principles, playing alongside and off of the rest of the core four. Hunter's, once again, probably the right answer because he unlocks what I think is the Cavs' best lineup, and that's him at the 4 alongside Evan at the 5 and shooters at the 1, 2, and 3. And that positional flexibility and that lineup versatility he provides is something that I don't think anyone else on the roster really does. Sure, you could put Dean Wade in that category, but he's just nowhere near the offensive player that DeAndre Hunter is. And one of the things I had an issue with Cleveland in the postseason last year was that when Indiana stopped helping off their drives and forced them to beat them one-on-one, they just didn't have guys who were capable of getting good looks in one-on-one situations against advanced defense. And part of that was due to injury, but injuries be damned, it's the playoffs. DeAndre Hunter's a guy who was dealing with the right thumb sprain, but is a guy who can create a one-on-one shot better than, I'd say, everyone outside of Donovan, Darius, and Evan on Cleveland. You could throw it to him in the high post. He can shoot over smaller defenders. He can take guys off the dribble. He's not much of a playmaker, but he is a guy who can be a counter if teams are going to just not help and say, hey, we're pulling back. We're not going to help. You got to beat us one-on-one. He's a guy who can. So I think the right answer is DeAndre Hunter, but I have someone else in mind that if you guys don't mention, I'd like to come back to and mention my other guy as well.
Well, Hunter was my guy for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. I just think, first of all, I think he needs to be in the starting lineup.
I do too.
And I think Strus needs to come off the bench. It was okay. I guess last year, if you don't want to disrupt what you have with the chemistry with Max, and the numbers were fine. Like they played great with Max in the starting lineup. But Hunter gives you the length that you need in that starting lineup, particularly when Darius is healthy, when you're going to be small in the backcourt. DeAndre's versatility is so important to this team. The fact that he can play really 2 through 5, and you don't lose a step defensively with him. 3-point shooting will be key for him. He's going to get a ton of open looks playing with the guys around him. So I think Max provides a really important role to this team. We said it during the playoffs. I think there was times where Donovan trusted Max more than probably anybody else on the floor. He seemed to be going out of his way to find Strus when some of the other guys were scuffling, and you can make a case for a couple different guys as being key role players. But to me, if you're taking out the 4 guys at the top and everybody else is available on the board, it's DeAndre. They're certainly paying him like a top role player, and there's a reason why they knew acquiring him was going to put them into the second apron, and they did it anyway. And it was sort of the versatility and the value that he provides.
So I don't even think of Hunter as a role player. I mean, if Jared Allen's not a role player, I don't see how DeAndre Hunter's not a role player. But the question is, who's the most important role? So to me, it's Lonzo Ball, because he's the big wild card on this team. My assumption is that he won't be healthy enough to really help them enough. But let's say, in theory, he is. Like, he's a low-budget Jason Kidd. I mean, that type of skill set, right? So if he was somehow able to stay healthy like he did in 2022, he could make a pretty big impact because he's a well-rounded player. And they don't have a lot of players they don't really have anybody like him that kind of does everything. You know, he's not like great at anything, but he does everything well.
He's a great passer.
Okay.
He is a great passer.
But he's like a guy who does a little bit of everything, right? And they don't have guys like that. If you look at the Pacers, It felt like they had a bunch of guys like that, and the Cavs don't really have many guys like that. So if he's healthy, I think he's a huge X factor for the Cavs. It's a huge if he's going to be healthy. But
the one thing on Lonzo, so he missed 2 full seasons with the knee injury. The games he missed last year at the end of the season were due to a wrist. The knee is back to being, according to all reports, knee's healthy. The wrist is healthy. He's coming into this season as healthy as he has going back to the 21-22 season, which bodes well. Can
and
he
maybe
stay
he would have played down the stretch if he were on a good team.
If they were more competitive.
Yeah.
All that is totally valid. So can he stay healthy? It's a giant can, a giant what, a giant if that we can't predict. But that was the other guy I wanted to mention, Bull, because I think part of the reason the Cavs were so adamant about bringing in a player like Lonzo, whether it was Lonzo or whether it was someone else in free agency, I like the Lonzo risk because I think the ceiling's a lot higher than the other guys in that realm could have been. Mm-hmm. Is he's the ultimate connector. A guy like that who is a complete, I want you to get involved first. I want you to get involved first. And on those second units, last year, if he's taking the Jerome minutes when he's healthy, right? Jerome, for as good as he was a shoot first, score first. I'm going to get mine, then I'm going to help you get yours. And if Evan Mobley's going to take that leap that we keep saying he has to take, and I did a whole Cavs show this morning on some more reasons why I think it could be set up perfectly for Evan to take that jump, putting Lonzo in those minutes, who could care less if he scores 2 points or 22 points, does not care. His goal is to make the right basketball play, and in a lot of instances, the right basketball play is going to be passing up a decent shot for myself to get Evan a ball in an advantageous position to where he can attack a defense. And if he is in those second units alongside either Darius or Donovan, he can be the primary point of attack defender because he's 6'6" with long arms and pretty athletic, not as athletic as he was. And he can be the secondary offensive creator to where he's getting other guys good looks in ways that Ty Jerome just wasn't doing last season. He could be a guy, I think, in almost any lineup the Cavs put together next year, could be the kind of connecting force that makes a lot of it work.
His game speaks for himself when he's healthy. The big issue with him is, can they keep him healthy? I'm not convinced that he can stay healthy for an entire season, but I do think this organization is really good. I mean, they brought Andrew Bynum back. You really want to go back in the day, a guy with chronic knee problems. And, I mean, it ended terribly because it's Bynum and he's kicking basketballs all over practice. But from the health standpoint of the knees, the Cavs have a great training staff. The relationship with the clinic is a built-in advantage that a lot of other teams don't have. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the same people are here from way back then. They're still with the team. And they just do – their medical is top-notch. And I just know from physicals and scans on guys before, the Cavs team doctors have found things that players either didn't know they had or didn't admit that they had wrong with them.
Yeah.
So it's really an excellent staff that I think can help. If they can just get him to April, he's not going to play on back-to-backs. They're going to limit his minutes. They're going to keep him in bubble wrap, really. But you have to play him to get him ready. It's sort of like the Browns we were talking the preseason. You got to practice football to play football. You got to practice basketball. You can't just not play this kid till April. But if they can do a good job of keeping him limit his minutes until April, he could be a weapon for him.
Can you explain a little more about the partnership the Cavs have with the clinic and why that's unique? Because I knew there was the Cleveland Clinic's practice court, but I never really thought about that being an advantage that other teams may not have.
It's just, I mean, the clinic is a world-renowned facility, and they are the Cavs team doctors. The Browns have UH, which is fine. The Guardians and the Cavs both use the clinic. So you have full access to literally world-renowned healthcare, and you've got some of the best doctors around. So it's just that partnership that I think it's just really smart, and the clinic will carry that partnership over with them to the new practice facility. There's going to be a clinic building in the building that they're building. So it's really just you have access to world-renowned care that, I mean, there are other great places. You know, Boston has great care, the Mayo Clinic. There are other great facilities, but the Cleveland Clinic is truly like worldwide in its healthcare. And to have that partnership with the team is really it's an advantage for the Cavs.
On a related note, isn't it ironic that Lonzo Ball's dad is the most narcissistic, egocentric guy, and his son is completely unselfish as a player?
And LaMelo is the opposite.
Right.
His youngest brother is a shoot first. Now, he's actually a really good passer. He just opts not to pass. Lonzo
is all about the team.
Is all about team.
Yeah.
Everything you could want. Like it's can he stay healthy? Other Cavs news real quick, and
Yeah.
not even Cavs news. George Niang got traded from Boston back to Utah.
Yeah.
Probably going to get bought out. The Cavs do have a roster spot open. Would you be interested, Jason, in a George Niang reunion for that last final roster spot?
Sure.
Because I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never thought Kevin Love was really a possibility. I just didn't think
He wants to. All reports that he wants to go to LA.
and that's no surprise. He's been connected to LA throughout his entire career.
It's not a surprise.
No.
For a while, didn't he hate LeBron for a while?
Well,
They're over it now.
if you can figure out that relationship, you
Yeah.
let me know, because it has been like this.
Yeah.
But I think they've had enough time apart now, and I think everything's fine. But I mean, when the Cavs traded for him, there was all these rumors that he wanted to go to LA. Obviously, he played at UCLA, so he's got the LA blood. He's
Right,
you know,
yeah.
so that I'm not at all surprised by that, and it just didn't feel like a good fit. Just knowing some of the backstory there, I would move on from that. The Tristan thing makes a lot of sense. I'd bring Tristan back, but I mean, George can help you on the court more than Tristan can, and George is a locker room guy too. So if it works out, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And for a lot of the complaints that came with George, and a lot of them were very fair, on a
What are
veteran
the complaints
buyout,
that came with George?
He couldn't hit a shot.
couldn't hit a shot.
Well,
Defensive
he fits in on
liability.
this team. Can't hit a shot in a big spot.
Well,
The entire bench is that way.
it's a lot different when he's making, or when the Cavs would be paying him like 1.6 on the veteran minimum, as
Right,
opposed to an $8 million annual average value, which is
Right,
what the
yeah.
initial contract was. You could live with a guy doing some of the things that George does in the not good stuff
Yeah.
for a vet minimum, as opposed to a guy that you invested real money in. But he
Maybe-
was the ultimate
maybe
locker
he
room
and Dean
guy.
Wade could do a least clutch competition.
What? He gives you a little Dean Wade insurance, put it that way. Or I guess maybe Dean Wade gives you a little George Niang insurance,
Oh
depending on
my
how you want to
gosh.
look at it. But it's a big body you can
It's
shoot,
insurance that doesn't pay out.
and was beloved in the locker room.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's important for
Yep.
the last bench spot, obviously. So I guess I got no problem. It's not like they're going to get anybody much better.
No.
What are the options at this point?
A lot of times we have these conversations, and I just kind of roll my eyes because we keep throwing all these names out. But
Yeah.
in New England, that makes a lot of sense.